We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP stimulus loan, and you may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. The program ends soon and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply. That's WOMPLY.com/apply.
Thank you again for joining this podcast. Hope you enjoy, even though it's not live. But today we'll be talking about how do you create a relationship with God. And a lot of you out there are probably wondering why you can't understand, and also when you read the Word, or the Bible I should say, you're still not understanding. And a part of that is because you have to have spiritual eyes to understand God, and you also have to have a spiritual mind to understand what the Spirit is trying to tell you throughout the Word. You know, I'll go back to even when I was younger, before I even got saved or anything like that, and was not able to understand. Every time I would go to read the Word, especially the Old Testament, it was just like a blur to me. And the reason it wasn't clear is because at that point in time, I didn't have eyes to really see what the Word was saying, nor did I have ears to hear or the spiritual body to even understand or comprehend what God was saying, nor was I talking to God, because all these things matter when it comes to trying to create a relationship with God. So, starting off, I will say, you know, the hardest thing for people to understand is the Bible itself. I mean, you're reading this Word and you're trying to figure it out, and it's got so many different contexts, and it can be very hard for those that are not saved, and when I say not saved, not baptized, and don't have the Spirit of God. You will never understand it if you don't have the Spirit of God, because you're blind. You're blind because you don't have a spirit. You have a soul, but you have no spirit. The only spirit there is the Spirit of Christ. And without that, you will never understand. And that's why, you know, when you go throughout the Bible and you're looking at all these kings, you know, let's say you are born again, because really this is what it's pertaining to, because you're trying to create this relationship and you're like, why is this not working? Well, first of all, you got to be born again. And when I say born again, I mean go get baptized. And when I say you go get baptized, it doesn't matter as far as if your heart is right and you're wanting to figure out and you're wanting to create this relationship. These are for the folks that are wanting to create a relationship. If you're not wanting to create a relationship with God, then don't even do this, because it's not going to benefit you in any way. You have to be receptive and want God to come into your life. If you don't want God in your life, then you need to go to another podcast. But those that are out there listening and they want to have a relationship, then you have to be baptized. And people say, oh, no, you don't. I'm telling you right now, you want to be baptized because that's when you get the Spirit. And when you get the Spirit of God, that is when you're going to get the understanding of God. That's when you're going to get how God works. Because right now you just have a physical body. You cannot worship God in a physical body. Your physical body doesn't comprehend God, and it's blind to everything that God is, because it's not meant to comprehend God. And that's why a lot of people walking around are not they're not comprehending, and they never will. For the simple fact they're still blind. You can know very many things in this life. You can know how to drive a car. You can know astrophysics. You can know all the planets and all the stuff that you could possibly know, but that's still not going to be the comprehension to know who God is, because God doesn't work through He doesn't work through the knowledge of man. He works through His knowledge, which is knowledge of God. And like I said, so the first things first, create the relationship. Create the relationship by being receptive and wanting to be baptized because you want this relationship with God, and you're not wanting to just go get baptized, just get baptized. But go get baptized, and then you have to read the Word. Reading the Word is going to fill you with faith, because right now, not knowing God, not having the spiritual body, not having faith comes by works. So you go get baptized because that's your works. Your works is your faith and thinking and knowing that when you go get baptized, this is going to open you up to the spiritual world. It is going to bring you in to the spiritual, so you will be able to understand what is going on around you and all the things that you've been thinking in life of why has this happened? Why has that happened? You will have so much greater knowledge once the Spirit comes upon you that you will understand why this happened, why that didn't happen, and the doubt that you have about your life and about what's going on will really a lot of it'll go away once you start reading the Word, because now you can understand the Word. So now you're understanding the Word. So you get in the Word, you've got to read the Word daily. And you have to be talking to God daily. You got to be talking to God almost every second of your life. Because if you're not, you always make the wrong move at the wrong time, and you'll start to be foolish in what you're trying to do in life. So the more you talk to God, the more you read the Word, like I said, the Word fills you with faith. Faith come by hearing the Word. So you're going to read that Word. And when I say read it, it's not where you get to pick out what you want to read. You need to read it from front to back. That's how you read the Word. It's just like any other book. You read it from front to back. You start reading all this, and you get around here, and and you skip this, and I don't want to read that because that's boring. To get the real understanding of God, and like I said, creating this relationship, then you have to put your full focus into what He's trying to tell you. Without doing that, you will be falling in your faith almost every time. So, like I said before, so once you get baptized, once you're reading that Word, once you're filling yourself with faith, once you're creating this relationship, because like I said, when you're praying to God, you pray out loud, because if you pray out loud, that's another act of faith, because you are, God isn't your personal mind reader. Now, obviously, people treat Him like that, but He wants to be talked to just like you talk to your mom, just like you talk to your dad, just like you talk to your wife, just like you talk to your friends. He wants to be talked to. And when He wants to be talked to, He wants to be talked to out loud. That's giving respect. That's understanding that He is living, that He does hear you, and that you want Him to hear you. These people praying with their mind or whatever, and they think God just knows. Yeah, He probably does, but that doesn't. You're not doing anything. So without doing anything, it's dead. You can't just go around praying inside your mind and thinking that that's going to be a relationship. It's not. You're going to have to pray out loud and, build this relationship. The more you talk to Him, the more He'll speak to you. The more you speak to Him, the more He'll speak to you, and vice versa. And your faith just continues to grow. Once you have what I would call a relationship where you can actually hear Him, where you get in tune with what He's saying, then you will understand, and things will look so differently. like I said, in this world than before. Before you were saved, it was just chaos. You didn't know what was going on. You didn't know why this was happening. Things are just popping up, and you're wondering why they're popping up. You're wondering why this, that. After that, you understand why things are popping up. You understand why people are doing this, why people are doing that. You understand when when people are trying to control you. You understand when people are being manipulative. You understand when you need to pray for somebody. You understand when you need to not pray for somebody. You understand when you need to go, when you need to stay, and when you just need to be still. And that's the main thing too, is being still. It's not being, running all day long. And then you don't even hardly spend a minute with God. You're going to lose focus. You're going to lose faith. And then once that happens, you're going to be on a downward spiral, and you just continue to roll and roll and roll. But what I was going to say too is, I'm not a perfect person, and nobody is. And then when you live your life, once you get saved, the biggest mistake you can ever make is to think you are perfect now, and that you're holier than thou, and now you can tell other people how they should live their life, and da-da-da-da-da, because that's not really biblical. Now, you will have authority to tell people have wisdom, but wisdom, the biggest thing too about creating a relationship with God is having wisdom. And what is wisdom? Wisdom is having the fear of God. So having this fear of God means I'm afraid that if I do this in my life, then God can destroy my life. If I do this in my life, God can destroy my life. If I do this in my life, God can destroy my life. And that's truly what it is. I mean, you should be fearful to do just the normal things that people do that are unsaved. So you want to continue this relationship, you're going to have fear, and that fear leads you to wisdom, which leads you to real thoughts on, where are you trying to be in your spiritual life? Because you're going to have a physical life now, and then you're going to have that spiritual life. And if you want that spiritual life to grow, then you're going to have to spend more time in the Word, more time talking to God. And if you want that physical world, then it's going to take away from your time with God, and meaning less and less of you being in tune. And then you start doubting, and then all this other stuff starts coming in. The more you stay in the Word, no more than I can preach to you is stay in the Word of God. It don't matter what you're going through. It don't matter what you're feeling like. It don't matter if it's a rainy day, a sunny day, a bad day, a good day. You got to stay in the Word of God, no matter what. And I just want y'all to realize that, my walk is different from your walk. My faith is different from your faith. My relationship to God is not really different, because I've spoken to many believers, and I know real believers from false believers, because our stories line up so much. And that's another thing, you have to kind of test people. You got to really talk to people and really understand them to see if they're really about God, because there's a lot of people out here saying they know God, and they have no idea who God is, what God is. And you just need to test people, and testing them means asking them questions, seeing where they stand on things. And, if they're not standing on a lot of things God's been telling you and you've been reading in the Word, then obviously they're not. They're not. And you'll find out as you read the Word and as you walk in this new spiritual life that a lot of the people you thought were good advisors to you were actually bad. And the people you thought you could go to for advice were definitely out of line. That's at least what I found out through my walk over these last 15 15 years now, almost going on 16. And, we all have a spiritual journey. Our spiritual journey isn't the same, but the spiritual walk in itself is the same. We're walking daily with the Lord. We're walking daily in the Word. We're walking daily in the spiritual. We're all walking to try to stay in tune. And the reason I'm trying to, there's a lot of people out here, and like I said, the Word is hard to understand because you had those blind eyes. Remember I told you you were blind before you could see. And the reason you can see now, and the reason things will make sense once you're baptized, once you have the Spirit on you, in you, living, that Spirit is going to be able to show you what you were blind to when you read it. When I was 15, like I said, when I was 15, 16 years old, and I'm reading this Bible, which I only read the New Testament because the Old Testament seemed so far from my mind. My mind could not even digest it at all. And I would wind up just quitting, before I would even get out of Genesis. But, once I got saved, it was like a whole new world. I had eyes. Now you're going to have eyes. You can see now. You can see how this Bible fits together. You're going to see that this Bible is more than just a word. It is a living, breathing being. It is living. It is a living word. It's the living word of God. It lives, it breathes, and it digests, and it does everything a body does. It understands you. It brings all kinds of different things that you thought wasn't there before. It will bring it to light. And, those are the biggest things as far as creating this relationship and trying to understand, And like I said, for those that do not believe, if you're wondering why it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense because, like I said, you do not have a spiritual body. And nothing has ever made sense to anyone in this world, as far as the Bible goes, unless you have the spiritual body. I mean, you could read all the Bible and it just be like a blur to you. And the reason being, like I say, is you need eyes. You have to have eyes. All these people out here saying they're atheists, saying, the Bible, da, da, da. It's just because they don't understand it. And they don't understand why they don't understand it. It's because what God said. He said, I am going to make them blind. I'm going to, he said, I will make their ears where they can't hear, their eyes where they can't see. And for that, they will not find salvation. It's not that you were born blind. You were born blind to God. You were born blind to righteousness. You were born blind to holiness because you wasn't holy. And all the things you've been seeing throughout your life wasn't holy. It's only until you meet a mighty God that is holy. And so you can't go to God without this body. Without this spiritual body, you can't even talk to God without this spiritual body. You can't worship God without this spiritual body because your physical body can't worship God. Why can't it worship God? Because it will be destroyed. If it sees salvation, if you see salvation, if you was to see God with just your physical body, you would die. You got to have a spiritual body to see Him, to see what His Spirit is trying to say. I mean, I'm hoping this is making sense to somebody out there. But the main, and I'm not trying to spit out a bunch of Bible verses. I'm trying to be 1, 2, 3 with and not confuse you to death. I could spit out a lot of what Jesus' teachings were, which was baptism, to be born again. And why do you need to be born again? Because you need a spiritual body. He's not talking about born again so you can have a physical body. You got a physical body. You need a spiritual body. And when you leave this world, there's only 2 things you can be when you leave this world.
like the atheists say, a dead carcass. And that is what they will be. Because they don't have a spiritual body. And without that spiritual body, guess what? Dead carcass. Spiritual body, you have a spiritual body. Now you can go to the next world because now you have received Christ. And He has given you a spiritual body now so you can understand God. And then when you get to heaven, you got a way to worship God because you can't worship God in a physical body. And then I'll tell you another thing. These people saying they're going to, when they see God, they're going to tell Him off and all that. They're not going to see God. They're never going to see God. The only people that's ever going to see God is those wearing a spiritual body. And people say, well, when we get out of here, we're going to have a spiritual body. Yeah, you're going to have a spiritual body. You're going to have a spiritual body that either goes to heaven or you're going to have another body that goes to hell. Now, that spiritual body is tormented. It's on fire. That spiritual body is on fire. It is burning. It is burning, okay? It is totally on fire. Okay, just to come off the point just for a second, for all you scientifics out there. Okay, we all know what they did with CERN a couple of years ago. They broke the veil. They broke the veil and they could see, they peered into the other side, into the spiritual world. And what did they see? They seen all these bodies, and guess what? They're all on fire. They're all on fire, and they're all in hell. And guess what? That's exactly what will happen if you don't get this spiritual body that Christ has told you you have to have. It's not me telling you have to have it. Christ said you have to have this spiritual body. And you don't get it by just getting on your knees. You have to go get baptized to get the spiritual body. He said it is by baptism that a man be born again. So, and people say, well, the man on the cross, he got a spiritual body. I'll say it like this. I got baptized. I don't know about the man. I don't know about all that. I just know about me. And I'm telling you from my experience, not from the man on the cross. That's why I said I didn't want to get into all this, too much of the biblical on this, because it just confuse you, and then you'll be like, well, I can do the... You do it every which way you think you can. But at the same time, I'm telling you, baptism. Baptism is like there's witnesses for one thing. You know, when you go in front of a judge, you want to have some witnesses. You're going to have like at least 3, depending on the church you go to, between 100 and 300 witnesses, maybe more, depending on what church you go to. But at least you got witnesses. So then, when you get more than 3 witnesses, guess what? They're all able to speak for you. All their spiritual bodies will speak. Oh, I seen him getting baptized. So there you go. You got your witnesses to your baptism. But at the same time, God already knows it because He's going to bring you the Spirit. I just want y'all to realize why, though, you're not being able to understand this Bible. Why you've not been able to understand God. And these are the reasons. And if you want to understand God, if you want to have a relationship with God, and you want to be able to understand the Word that you've been reading since you was little, and then now you're still wondering why you're blurred to all the facts of it, it's because you don't have spiritual eyes to see it. So I'm just trying to bring this to your attention, and I don't want to continue overly absorbing the point. But there's many people out here in this world right now. Hopefully, many people are going to hear this message, and it'll be pretty easy to understand. I'm hoping that I'm making it very understandable for people. But we all, if we want this world to change, we have to change with getting a new heart, getting a new body, and allowing God to make
make it for us, because we can't make those changes. God has to be the one that makes the change. He's got to be the one that brings the body. He gives you a new heart. I mean, you're going to get a new heart. You're going to get a new mind. You're going to get a whole new thinking. And the things that didn't make sense of why people do this and why people do that, like I said, all that will make sense. And you won't be just wandering around. Because right now, if you don't have these things, you're wandering around like a fool with nothing. You're running around here messing up, because that's all you can do without the Spirit of God. Is all you can do is mess up. That's all you can do is mess up. You fall into sin every day. Every day is a sin. You know, and if that's the life you want to live, I'm not saying anything against it. If that's how you want to live your life, just sin every day, falling into sin, falling into drunkenness, falling into drug abuse, falling into sexual abuse, falling into the wrong relationships, falling into this, there's plenty of pitfalls if you want to keep falling into them. But I'm telling you, for the people that are wanting to get out of the pitfall and wanting to get on the solid rock, then I'm telling you how to get there. And if you want to go, then go. But if you don't, then I'm not here trying to stop you. I mean, I don't want you to go. I don't want you to go to hell. I don't want you to go, you know, the way this whole entire world's going. But this world is falling, and it's fell into so many pits now. It's in the biggest pit, and it's trying to find its way out. You look at the world right now, even somebody with with not that much of comprehension knows this world is in bad trouble. And you know what? You're in bad trouble. You out there in this world, you're in bad trouble because you don't have a spiritual body, and you're going to die. And when you die, you're going to die in your sin. You're going to die in your fault. You know, it's like walking down the road and all of a sudden you step in a pit hole, and it's, you know, 20 feet, 30 feet deep. What are you going to do? And it goes forever, and there's no way to get up out of it. That's how you are without the spiritual body. You're just in this pit. This 20, it don't even have to be that big. I mean, some people are in a 100-foot ditch. Some people are in a 9,000, some people are in a 9 million foot ditch. I'm going to tell you right now, all these rich, they done sacrificed their life. They're in a 9 million trillion deep ditch, and they can't get out. They're going to die in their sins. They have no comprehension of God. They have no spiritual body. They're going to die and go to hell. I'm telling you, maybe you have a ditch right now, but God can save you from it. He can save the man from a 9 million foot ditch. And guess what? This is honest to God's truth. If you don't know God, you're in a 9 million foot ditch. You're in a 9 million foot ditch. And I'll tell you why on the next podcast, but I'm telling you, if you don't think you are, believe me, you are in a 9 million foot ditch, and you need a savior. You need salvation. You need a relationship. You don't need a new man. You don't need a new job. You don't need a new home. You don't need a new puppy. You don't need a new car. You don't need thousands and millions of dollars. You need salvation. That's all you need. And believe me, once you get salvation, God will take care of what you need. God will take care of and He will supply. He is able to supply you with provisions. He will provide provisions for your life. But right now, you don't have a provision. But see, God is still providing for you even in your 9 million foot ditch. That's the funny thing. But see, you can't see that now because you don't have eyes. But later on, you'll see that He even provided even when you was in your 9 million foot ditch and couldn't get out. So I just hope that you take what I'm telling you to heart. I hope you understand that I'm not here
I'm only here for those that want to create their relationship with God. This is a Create a Relationship with God podcast. I hope you enjoy. I hope this has given you some type of understanding that you need baptism. You need God. Don't ask the question why. Just go and do it. Just go and do it. Quit asking questions. Quit making excuses why not to do it. Just go do it. And then you will see that what I'm telling you is truth. God bless. Have a good day.
Food delivery is the best. That is, until it leaves your wallet running on empty. But don't let that spoil your appetite. Regions Life Green Checking and our suite of budgeting tools can help you prioritize your spending around what you love, like cheese fries whenever you feel like it. Plus, your account comes with a contactless check card. Simply tap to pay and be on your way to braving a new beginning. Learn more at regions.com/bravethebeginning. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Come celebrate Lowe's first annual Spring Fest and give your lawn the look it deserves with 5 bags of premium mulch for $10 or 3 19.3-ounce Bonnie